And welcome. So in the previous video we have demonstrated how an Node.js Express plus TypeScript plus ESLint project can be configured to work for a CI pipeline in GitHub Actions. So in this very video we'll upload the artifact of the very project of the exact same project to an AWS S3 bucket. So in order to do so, we need to use the AWS credentials in the GitHub Actions. So in order to do so, the best option for now is the official one. There are plenty other among in the GitHub, but this is the actual one, AWS Actions and configure AWS credentials. This very link. So if you check that out, you will see that it actually explains about the credentials, how the credentials should be set up. It is asking us to set up the credentials in a way that there are no secrets to be stored in the GitHub Actions page. I mean GitHub passwords page. So basically what that means is we have to use the assuming a role in AWS. So how to use that is we need to connect with the OpenID connect from GitHub to the AWS. So it is a secure way of doing it. The reason is we don't have to store the AWS access ID and AWS access secret in order to in this way. So what they say is we don't have to duplicate the secret, we don't have to generate a secret. In previously, like before releasing this very way, we used to create a user in AWS in order to get the access to AWS resources. So in this way there won't be any secrets stored. All we have to do is configure a role, and straight away the connection between GitHub Actions and AWS will be just taking place. So no really saved any, I mean we are not going to save any passwords here. So and there are other aspects for this, because we are not going to control the authentication and authorization management here, because the cloud provider will actually deal with it. Here in this case we can filter down to the exact which resource we actually want to have access to. And also the rotating credentials, we don't have to worry about that, because we are not going to store any passwords here. So that is the advantage of using OpenID Connect. So how this actually works is GitHub Actions workflow will have an OIDC provider, I mean OpenID Connect provider. It will generate a token and it will pass that to the cloud provider. It will verify the trust. I mean the cloud provider will actually verify the trust, whether that is intended for the actual resource. In this case, if it is actually asking to provide for the exact same repository, and it will actually give a access token back to the GitHub Actions. So with that access token, which will be a short-lived one, will be able to access the AWS resources from the GitHub Actions. So that is the theory about this in a nutshell. So what we have to do is, in order to do this, first we have to go to the AWS console, and we need to create an identity provider. So we will go ahead to the IAM, and after going into the page of IAM, we will have the identity providers, and we will add a provider. So we should be, because it is about OpenID Connect, we should be selecting that one, and we should be selecting the provider as this one. So this is basically the OIDC provider of GitHub. So we'll paste that in and get the get the thumbprint, and the audience here is the token service of Amazon. So we paste that in, we add the provider, all good. It has added the provider, right? And now what we have to do is we have to assign a role for this. So when we assign a role for this provider, we can actually add a trust policy to the same role. So this will be the trust policy that we will be adding. It is possible to add more conditions here, but just for the sake of this demo, we'll just stick with this. So after creating the identity provider, it'll be showing up the assign role button here. So we'll click that. We'll just create a new role here. So it has already selected the web identity, and the identity provider is this one because we came from that very page, and the audience is sts.amazonaws.com. So we'll hit the next permissions tab. Now we have to provide the permission for this very role in AWS. So it should be finely grained, with more granular control. But just for the sake of the demo, I'm going to give S3 full access. I don't have any buckets as of now. So, but please make sure you create the exact policy that you really want. If you really want to upload to an artifact, the policy should be like, uploading to a certain bucket, deleting may not be, uploading to a bucket, read and write, and list bucket permissions. List bucket should be always, to the very specific bucket. So ideally it should be a fine-grained policy, and but here we'll just provide the S3 full access. So we'll just review that. I'm going to GitHub Actions role. Okay, GitHub Actions role. All good. So we'll create that role. Okay, so we have that now. And let's go back here, and we should be adding this. Now that role has been created, we can just check the trust relationship here. It has already provided that the federated principal is the GitHub Actions. GitHub's token service, and the condition for audience is Amazon's token service, and they have asked us to add this very line here. So I'll just edit the trust policy here, put a comma in here, and we have to change the repo owner and the repo name. So we'll just switch to here, the GitHub. So basically this is the repo. This is the exact same repo that we demonstrated in the previous video for this GitHub Actions. So I'll just paste that in here. All good. What is the branch? We have the main branch. Okay, I'll update the policy. Now it has updated the policy. All good. So what we have to do next is, as I said earlier, we have to use the AWS Actions configure AWS credentials. So this is the official one for AWS Actions to deal with any AWS resources in your GitHub Actions workflow. So they say that it need a permission setting for the token. So what it actually means is, it just needs to have this very section in the YAML page. And also, if you visit this page, how we should be using this is, this should be having the GitHub Actions page should be having this very step in the workflow. So if you just take a look at closer, it's AWS Actions, configure AWS credentials v1, and role to assume. So we have created this very role, and this is the ARN for that role. Sorry, right, and a region. Of course, there should be a region. So let's go ahead and change the CI file. So I'm going to switch over to this. I've already done this, so I'm just going to copy paste this section here, because otherwise it will take a lot of time. So we are going to provide an env push, so I'll just paste it in here, env with bucket name. In our case, the bucket name is, well, we haven't created a bucket, so let's go ahead and create a bucket. Create bucket. So we will provide the exact same name here, and we'll just leave with the default values to create a bucket. All good. So it is in AP South 1, all good, and it has the permissions. This is actually needed in order to generate the token, access token, so that the GitHub Actions can access the AWS resources. So what next? Next is we need to use the AWS Actions. So we have to copy this and add it in here. Okay, so we'll paste it in here. Let's format that. Role to assume, AWS region. What is the error? Missing required key, AWS region. What happened? Let's just compare that with this one. Okay, so I think we can just go ahead and copy this. It should be after uses. All good. This is fine. So we should be going to the role and copy the ARN here. This should be the role ARN. Now this is fine. AWS region, it will go to the env value. AWS region it is going to get the AWS South. All good. Now if we compare this with this, and what else? So here we are going to use the branch name and the SHA-1 of the commit in order to store the artifact, because each time the artifact will be different. So I'm just going to copy this over, and after this, all good. So what else we have to do? Of course, we have to copy the artifact to the S3 bucket. Let me copy this correctly, and all good. Looks like all good. So I'll just explain what it is. It is creating a variable. The variable's name is branch. So you can do something like this, and run a shell script and assign it to a variable, and this variable can be accessed with steps dot that variable, then output, then the name of that very thing, so that is the branch. So we have done the exact same thing here with the commit hash to get the commit hash. So it is extract hash output, then the name is commit hash, right? So it just in the bucket it'll just put the artifacts into its separate folders. All good, looks like it is all good. Now let's go ahead and push this into the GitHub. All good. Did we change? Okay, we did change the bucket name. So if we go to the actions, it is running. It is running the build. Good. It is the configure AWS actually got passed, so it doesn't have any issues. All good. npm run ci is running, build is running, lint is running, S3 is uploading the artifacts into S3 is running. Looks like everything got run. Okay, cool. So let's go to the S3 and go to the bucket. Now we have a main branch, main folder. So that is this one, bucket name / this very value. So it is the name of the branch, main, and now there is a hash value. So that is this very value. So inside of it we have the index.js. Let's just download that and check what that is. Downloads, open with VS Code. Cool, we have the exact same file here. Right, it's exact same. Yeah, we of course added this line later. So we have configured the CI to upload the Node.js Express TypeScript projects artifact into an AWS S3 bucket with using the OpenID connect way to which will be using the assuming a role mechanism, and which doesn't really have anything in the passwords. If you go to the GitHub Actions, GitHub repo and settings, and go to the secrets actions, we don't have any secrets. So isn't that awesome? So this OpenID way is being adopted widely now because it doesn't store passwords. So this is the default way of the recommended way of doing the GitHub Actions to upload something to S3, to do whatever you have to do in AWS with GitHub Actions. So I hope this made sense to you. If you like the content, please like the video and subscribe for more updates. Thank you.